Team Multiverse class files. Code M4TL1-M4U71CE. These files are documents made to go over members of Team Multiverse. These include abilities, history, weaknesses, and strengths. Class codename, Hope. My oldest friend and teacher. Goku has been with me through thick and thin. He has fought many battles and has made many friends along the way. Many of his strengths come from not only his physical abilities or from his martial arts, but also his personality. He is kind to his friends and even shows mercy to his most dangerous of enemies. Abilities, godly strength. He seems to have no limit as to how strong he can get. He has even displayed enough strength to throw around his Zeshir if he was to fight him. Key awareness. Born as a Saiyan, he is able to harness his life energy for many techniques, allowing for superhuman feats. Zenkai boost. An attribute needed to Saiyans. Anytime Goku comes back from near death, he will get a significant power boost. Adept martial artist. Trained by many teachers of his years, such as Master Roshi, Kami, Whis, and more, this has pushed Goku to almost mastery of martial arts. Ultra Instinct. A technique used by the angels. Goku has learned to tap into this in his Ultra Instinct form. Super Saiyan. Originally thought to be a myth, this transformation became one of Goku's main used forms, and soon became the base for so many more. His main weakness seems to be his thirst for battle. Due to his Saiyan blood, he craves a strong opponent and will often let them go all out. This could greatly hinder our fight with Nazo, Surge, and future battles. When it comes to choosing a specific class type for him, it's tied between both attacker and supporter, due to him keeping sensu beans on him. It'll have to be both for the time being. How his abilities can help us win battles is to make sure he keeps everyone on the same page and sticks to a certain plan. I know this from his story regarding the Tournament of Power. Perhaps I can adapt to his leadership as well. Class codename, Slayer. A fox of unknown origins. Wrath is a demon hunter of unbridled rage and skill. He tends to be the silent type for most of the time and only speaks when it's necessary. His hate for the demons seems to heighten his aggression towards others. This could lead to conflict in the team down the road, but for now, I'm just glad he's on our side. Side note, I've yet to tell him about Nazo being a Chaos Demon. Unsure if it counts as an actual demon. Perform additional research later. Abilities. He tends to call his moves starting with the word Rampage, so we'll refer to the abilities that he uses called Rampage Energy. Rampage form. It seems to be the state that is similar to Shadow's Chaos form, but it's emanating Rampage energy rather than Chaos energy. This form seems to also increase his physical strength and most of his abilities too. More research needs to be made to determine where this energy comes from and how he uses it. Rampage Slash. A sword that he uses is required to execute this technique. He summons most of his Rampage energy into one singular strike that moves through the ground until it makes contact with his foe. My opinion about this is that he can use this during stealth missions if executed correctly. Rampage Cannon. A technique used by summoning Rampage energy into his hand and releasing it into a massive energy wave. He could probably destroy a mountain with that move if he was angry enough. Rampage Onslaught. Another technique used with his sword. He can concentrate the energy into his blade and not just release one Rampage Slash, but a whole bunch of them. It's so fast it feels like he stopped time itself. I'm not sure about this one form he has, though. He apparently used this against that one demon that came out of the portal and used it again on Nazo and Surge. This is not Rampage energy. It's something worse. I need to ask him about it as soon as I can. If this is a power that can harm people, I can't let that happen. Wrath is a very offensive type ally. He always seems to jump into the front lines against a foe, so definitely an attack class type. He seems to also have some kind of connection to Chip in a way, and almost always protects her. Maybe attack, but about 25% defensive if I were to guess. How he can apply this to strategies is to make sure he not just protects Chip, but everyone as well. I hate to be that guy, but I won't allow anyone to play favorites on this team. Class codename, Gaia. Chip, from what I was told by a previous Sonic, that there are a godly being that resides in the planet's core. I found out from Wrath and a few of the Gaia temples I've visited that Chip reformed their previous body in the form of a long-extinct species from Universe Zero called the Recors. They also seem to not just crave chocolate chip supreme sundaes, but also chicken nuggets. They could be useful when they don't want to follow orders. Abilities. Healing. It seems that she could develop a healing ability that can restore health and power to those she uses it on. She can also use another variation of it where it's more long-ranged. Further information is required, but if I was to get this a name, I'd call it Gaia's Crest. Updating this ability file now. Gaia Force. She can manipulate the world's energy into whatever she wants. Blasts, weapons, shields, hell, even the entire Gaia Colossus. Apparently she also learned the Kamehameha. What I can assume is that she learned it from Shadow, so nothing to add on here. When it comes to transformations, she doesn't seem to have any from the looks of it, but I will update this section of her file when the time is right. When it comes to her class type, I would have to pick her as a healer. She doesn't have much combat on her, but I also figured out something when we fought Nazo and Surge. Apparently, she can heal the damage from my soul energy too. If I was to ever overdo it, I can always rely on Chip to heal me. Now, onto her depending on strategies. She can be a jerk sometimes, but when the situation becomes dire, she becomes more focused. If she was to not follow orders, just promise her the food she likes and she'll do it. Class codename. Light. Maria. I heard from my shadow that she was a human. But here she's a hedgehog. Figuring that out later. She is a powerhouse of chaos energy. She can even give Shadow a run for his money. Abilities. Chaos powers. She's able to manipulate her chaos energy into attacks much like her brother. Light Lance. A massive wave of ki and chaos energy that gives even Goku's Kamehameha trouble. Need to do more research into the downsides. Chaos Form. A form dependent on rage causes her inhibitor rings to release, unleashing an extremely powerful form. Side note, hers seems to be very different from Shadow in a few ways. Mainly, she can control it. Kaioken. So there seems to be a Mobian variant of the Kais, and a King Kai variant taught Shadow the Kaioken, who in turn taught it to Maria. She could go up to times 20 if she wanted to. If I was to give them a class type, it would definitely be a supporter. She has a lot of combat experience, but she has a way to make sure that everyone is okay, and keeps everyone on their toes. When it comes to her role in strategies, she needs to make sure that she protects her allies and informs Chip to heal them to get them back into the fight. If push comes to shove, she could jump in the front lines and go all out. Class codename. Dark Arms. Where do I begin with this hedgehog? Alright, let's start with the fact that not only is he insanely strong, but when I first met him, he killed a guy right in front of me. That's one way to start things off. And he even has forms I've used before, and even seems to have some that I don't even recognize in the multiverse. This is one hedgehog I'm glad to have on the team. Abilities. Chaos. He is extremely precise as well as powerful with chaos abilities. He seems to have almost complete control with any form of chaos energy too. Ki control. His level of ki control is impressive, as well as pushing his already dangerous skills to another level. Godly ki. In our battle with Surge and Nazo, he showed he has control over God ki. He even went God as well as Blue and even added Kaioken on top of it. Ultra Instinct? During the battle with Nazo and Surge, I could have sworn I saw his eyes turn silver in the aura of Ultra Instinct. Could he have it? Is he like Goku and able to use the forms? I need to look into this. Phase forms. A whole new line of forms introduced to me by that one Sonic that helped us get to Universe Zero. Shadow is shown to even push farther than the Sonic that we met. He called it Phase 4. If he can reach this far, could he push it farther? More research is required. Class-wise, he is a masterful tactician and a master in hand-to-hand combat. A welcome help with strategy, especially with his military experience. Definitely a combatant as well as intelligence. Surge won't see us coming. Class codename, Permafrost. This Tails is like nothing I've ever seen before. He is a cryomancer and is able to cause glacier-sized attacks. Of course, like any other Tails, they are a master at inventing and fixing things. This could be extremely useful when fixing the ship if it was to take any damage. Abilities. Ice powers. They can manipulate ice throughout their body and use it during fights. It makes sense for them to have such powers since in the human world, foxes tend to be in very cold places, even in the Arctic. It seems as though that they don't quite have a handle on their powers yet, but when the time comes, I'll have to train them to control it. Flight. Okay, I get it. You all understand this, but I'll just say it anyway. He can fly using his tails and can also help people out of situations. Sadly though, they can only carry one at a time. Solar is the name I've given to them, to differentiate them from the other Tails that we come across in the future. Now, if I was to give them a certain class type, it would definitely be a defender and a technician. How this could apply with strategies is he can map out plans to figure out where enemy positions are hiding at. What a helpful little fox. As for the defending factor, they could probably put up some walls of ice to protect the supporters and healers so they could do their job. One minor thing though, they seem a bit scared to fight at times. So the way to avoid this is to reassure them and give them motivation to keep fighting. Private note to myself. When I met them, they talked about how their Sonic treats them. They said they were treated like a player 2. Well, I say fuck that. I'll make sure he doesn't get treated like that at all. Maybe if things go well, I could be the Sonic he never had. And in return, he could be the Tails I never had.